Hey bestie, it's B. Welcome back. Before we enter into 2024, I feel like we need to have a little pep talk on boundaries because there's just absolutely no way that we can become an even better version of ourselves if we are just letting people walk all over us like a doormat, okay? Just keeping it real. Before we hop in, a few housekeeping. I'm on TikTok and Instagram. Come hang, heybriajones. I have memberships now, so if you would like to dive deeper into these topics, join our group chat, see exclusive content, monthly meditations, so much. You can check out our memberships if you go to my channel and click join. So boundaries. Let's talk about why it's so important for you to actually set boundaries. Here's the thing. If you choose to neglect actually putting boundaries in place, guess what's gonna happen? Your body is going to check you. You can deny all you want that you don't have to put boundaries in place, but at the end of the day, your body is going to tell you what is for you and what is not for you. If you feel anxiety sometimes, if you are having panic attacks, that might be connected to the fact that you are overwhelmed to some capacity. Not all the time, but sometimes we have too much on our plate. We aren't delegating, we aren't setting boundaries, all the things, and our body ends up manifesting that into a panic attack or generally bad anxiety. I've completely been there. I know what it's like, and while I will say it wasn't entirely due to boundaries, there were some boundaries that I should have put in place in terms of how people were treating me, in terms of who I put myself around. I was neglecting those boundaries, and that was definitely a part of the reason why I was suffering. Here's the thing, guys, the body keeps count. There's literally a book called The Body Keeps Count, and I need to read it, but it's true. Your body is always going to know. Like, you can lie to yourself all you want to, but what you are holding on to or not processing or ignoring and neglecting, your body is still storing it somewhere. Whether you realize it on a subconscious or conscious level, it's still somewhere in your body. The thing is, when we don't set boundaries, it can be a mega massive energy drainer. Everything is energy. We talk about this in so many of our videos, and that means energetic exchanges. That means just being around certain people. Everything is a constant energetic exchange. And if you are pouring into things that aren't pouring back into you, or if you're doing things that are just taking away from you, you will feel it on a physical level. We're gonna talk about more how to gauge that, but just understand that your body's always talking to you. You have to listen in though. We have to take the time to get away from our devices. I sound like a boomer. Get away from your phone and just be with you and your thoughts, because your body is always trying to communicate with you and have a conversation. Truly, in so many ways. Like when you eat that whole pot of queso and your stomach is like, bitch, what? Your body is telling you, maybe don't do that, okay? So there are other areas in your life where your body's gonna check you. Just pay attention to what it's saying, how you feel, and stop sweeping things under the rug. So when it comes to boundaries, it's really important to tune in and listen to what your body and what your mind is telling you. Your intuition is so cool and so powerful and wants to help you out. Your intuition wants to protect you. Maybe some people don't think the same, but I feel like intuition is definitely connected to your higher self. Those little nudges that you get, those instincts to maybe don't turn down that street one day, you know, things like that. I feel like that is my higher self. And for those of you who are members, I just released a higher self meditation so that you can directly contact your higher self through some quiet time. It's one of my favorite things to do just when I'm feeling like I need answers or clarity on some things, because there is definitely another version of you that is out there trying to guide you and help you. You can call it intuition or you can call it your higher self. So don't forget to check that out if you're a super bestie. The important thing to remember with boundaries is that your boundaries or lack thereof set the tone for how people treat you, set the tone for how people create expectations for you, okay? People will only treat you the way you allow them to. I know it's hard to digest, but we're gonna break down how to set a healthy boundary in a nice way so you don't burn bridges in the process. That's why it's called a healthy boundary. Figure it out, Bubby. Are you gonna sit by me? He's a good boy. He's a good boy. Okay, but you have to sit. There's a baby in my hands. Okay, why is it hard to set boundaries? Okay, if it were easy, everybody would do it, but it's obviously not easy because it doesn't always work out the way we want to. But bestie, here's the thing, in 2024, I don't care about all that. I don't care about all that. We're setting the boundary and whoever wants to accept it can accept it, okay? People pleasers, I need you to hear me right now. I understand that you probably shudder at the thought of setting a boundary, but your occupation, your career is not to people please. In fact, people pleasing is probably one of the most dangerous things you can do to yourself. I have to call you out real quick, and I know you just love to make people comfortable because you hate to inconvenience anybody, but understand that when you don't set those boundaries, those people ain't worried about inconveniencing you. So why are you worried about them, okay? Another valid fear is the fear of isolation. What if I set this boundary? Are these people still gonna wanna hang out with me? How's that gonna work out? It's totally understandable. We'll get there. Maybe your thing is you fear the other party's reaction. Maybe they are just not rational people. Maybe they are manipulative, gaslighty, icky things like that. I get it. Stay with me. I can also see how setting a boundary might make you worry about missing out on opportunities. Like at work, for example, if you put a boundary in place, are you gonna get that promotion? We'll get there. So let's just debunk all the things I just said. So the first one was people pleasing. People pleasers, the root of your issue is that you don't wanna cause anyone discomfort, and instead you would rather make yourself uncomfortable. Where'd that make sense? Where'd that make sense? So here's the thing. You're gonna start to understand that your comfort is just as valid, okay? And here's the thing, people pleasers. If those same people don't respect your comfort level, that tells you a lot about the dynamic in the relationship. And I know it might be a tough pill to swallow, but you will find out who's really for you and against you when you put boundaries in place, because it'll show you who might just be there for transactional reasons. Which kind of feeds into the next point. If you end up being ignored, neglected, or kicked out of your social circle because you put a healthy boundary in place, baby, they were never really your friends to begin with, okay? You should not be a part of a friend group that only wants you because you contribute one particular thing. Real friends, real family, people who genuinely care about you on every level are gonna want you to be there with or without the boundary. So that again will show you people's true colors. And again, another tough pill to swallow, but you don't need to be around people who don't want to just be with you. We want to take into 24 the energy of being around those who love, respect, and adore us because you are so cute and worth it. We can't continue to let people just take from us. So if that's a problem for them, then they're the problem. It's not you. This one's tough with the reactions because if you deal with someone in your life who's manipulative or, might gaslight you if you put a boundary in place, I understand that's a lot more difficult than these other options. In those cases, it's really gonna take consistency and being stern in your boundaries and also learning to tune that shit out, okay? Listen, I wouldn't give you advice on anything I haven't gone through myself. I understand there are people out there who will not respect your boundaries and will be dismissive and try to make you look like the bad guy when you are putting a perfectly healthy boundary in place and you were calm and you were kind about it. If you are being those things, if you are calm and you are kind when you set a boundary, baby, it's not you. Is them. And to debunk the opportunity theory, where if you were to miss out on an opportunity because you set a healthy boundary, guess what? That is a divine intervention and that opportunity was not meant for you. I know you don't want to hear that, right? I get it. But here's the thing. If you miss out on an opportunity because you put a healthy boundary in place, the only opportunity you missed out on is being taken advantage of. You didn't miss anything. Okay? Here's the thing, not all that glitters is gold. Even in the workplace, a promotion might be seen as like rah-rah, more money, but sometimes with more money comes more bullshit. So if you're blocked from some kind of opportunity, take it as a blessing because you never know what can come with that baggage. And if you yourself are praying and manifesting to have the best possible opportunities, understand that the ones you don't get weren't meant for you and there's something even better. So before we set boundaries, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna work on the mindset, okay? We are going to set the boundary coming from a place of abundance. Now, why is this so important? Because I think a lot of the fears that come with setting boundaries are actually connected to a lack mindset. Going back to our work example, if you feel like you're gonna miss an opportunity because of a boundary, you have a lack mindset. If you knew that you were abundant and that there was an abundance of opportunities for you, maybe some you didn't even realize, Otherwise, you wouldn't be afraid of setting a boundary because you know there are 1 trillion opportunities out there for you and nobody's gonna stop that. Another thing we're gonna do is change our perspective on what a boundary is. I feel like the word boundary has such an aggressive, like negative connotation to it, but I've really reframed my mind to see a boundary as an act of respect or love, or both. So look at the boundary as a way to keep people you love or care about or things you care about in your life, rather than looking at a boundary as a way to shun people. It's all about perspective. Because here's the thing, it would be really easy to just cut someone off that's making you uncomfortable. You know, it'd be easy to just ghost them. That's easy. But what's hard is communicating. What's hard is saying this thing makes me uncomfortable or this is not working for me, because it involves more of a conversation. But in my opinion, that shows that you really care about that person and you want to make something work. And maybe sometimes even communicating that to people might help. But as far as I'm concerned, you just need to change your perspective on the boundary and understand that it's a very positive thing if you're setting it in a healthy way. Once you are in the right mindset about boundaries, it's time to tune in and listen to what your body is telling you about certain situations, people, circumstances. Tune in. So how exactly do we set that boundary now? The first thing you need to do in regards to your boundary is figure out what boundary are you trying to put in place. Can you spell that out? Can you articulate it? And this just needs to be something you do with yourself before you go communicating that to someone else. Just make sure you have everything together first. Once you kind of know the boundary you want to put in place, then I would suggest that you go over this boundary and just ask yourself a few questions. Because while I know you guys have the best intentions, there are definitely people out there who will set a boundary that is not healthy, okay? Let's just make sure that it is a healthy boundary. Ask yourself these questions. Is this boundary gonna cause harm to anyone on a mental, physical, emotional level, okay? And I say emotional loosely because someone just kind of throwing a tantrum because they don't like what you said is one thing, but if you were severely hurting someone's feelings, you know, you will know the difference. Use your judgment there in knowing if this is hurting someone severely or if they're just bitching, okay? There's a difference. Is your boundary self-centered? What I've found with most healthy boundaries is typically the boundary is going to be beneficial to not just you, but other people outside of you. And the way I like to think of it is like this boundary, kind of what I was saying before with the perspective shift, is that this boundary is beneficial to the overall relationship that you have with said person, or maybe it's the job you have. Maybe it'll make you perform better at work because you are setting the boundary. You're getting things done because you're not taking on things that you're not supposed to take on. You are setting healthy boundaries to do something better, to show up better, to help someone, to help yourself. Usually there is great benefit for more than one person. Then ask yourself, is there a negative consequence if you don't set the boundary? More than likely, your answer will be yes. That's why you have to set the boundary, because if you don't, something bad is gonna happen. Now, if there is no negative consequence, just kind of reevaluate why this boundary needs to be put in place. Really, these questions are just here to help you see the purpose of your boundary and understand that your boundary is healthy. Therefore, when you understand that it's a healthy boundary, you can communicate that to someone else. So if you're a yes across the board to those 3 questions, set the boundary. So when we actually go about setting the boundary, we are going to start with a correction. In this correction, it's important that you're entirely clear about what is not working for you and communicate that very clearly. Explicitly say what it is that needs to be corrected or adjusted, whatever word you want to use. Next, it's optional, but I recommend it. Provide a little bit of context. Sometimes in setting boundaries, the other party genuinely does not know why or the reasoning. You'd be surprised how we all just come from different backgrounds, you know, different strokes, different folks. We all just kind of live in our own world and do things in ways that we don't mind. So sometimes providing context just helps other people understand you more. I think especially if you value this person or this job or whatever it is, the context is very helpful and shows that you really care. However, you technically don't owe anyone an explanation. I just think it's a nice thing to do if this is a healthy boundary that you're trying to set. Providing that context can also be a good opportunity to have a conversation with the other person. And again, the more we have conversations and communicate, the better we are. Step 3, you're going to offer an alternative. You're gonna provide the party with what you would prefer happen, okay? Now I'm gonna walk you through a couple examples of how I would actually implement this in some theoretical situations. So example 1, let's go to the workplace. Let's say you're at work and someone is just giving you tasks that are not your job. This is a very common thing. This happened to me when I worked in corporate America. It happens, okay? And I'm not saying you can't be the person to step in and show up sometimes, but also there are times when you're like, look, I got deadlines to meet. So in this case, let's say you got deadlines to meet and your shit is piling up. You can't really afford to take on some tasks that don't belong to you. Here's what I would say. I wrote this down. Hey Bob, this task actually needs to go to the engineering department. I'm currently working on meeting some ongoing deadlines, but if you need additional support on this task, let me know and we can come up with a plan together. Wow, beautiful. I love it. So let's break that down. In, hi Bob, this task actually needs to go to the engineering department, I state the correction. Then I provide context by saying I'm currently working on meeting some ongoing deadlines, and then I provide the alternative. But if we need additional support on this task, let me know and we can come up with a plan together. Notice I still held my boundary and said, I'm not taking this on, but I'll help you figure it out, okay? Love that for us. I give it 5 stars. But here's the thing, you'd be surprised how many people, especially in the workplace, don't know who does what. It's very common, especially at these big companies where there's so many different roles. Sometimes you just need to correct the person and it's not that big of a deal. Other times, maybe you do need to go into detail on why you can't just take on everything. But you'd be surprised, a lot of the time, it's a genuine mistake. But you have to make sure you communicate that. Now let's do a little bit more of a difficult example with family, because you gotta be respectful at work, okay? It's not likely that someone's gonna bitch and complain. I mean, they might, but there's only so much you can do at work. Now, when it comes to family, it can be more difficult because family doesn't give a shit about your feelings sometimes. Let's say there's a new mom with a brand new baby who's like a few days or weeks old. They don't have a whole lot of immunity built up, and you see auntie over here trying to give the baby a kiss. This is not my example. It's just an example that I know someone went through recently. Okay, I'm not even a mom, nor am I a new mom, but look, I feel the rage in me just thinking about some auntie kissing on my new baby like that. No. So I feel her on that. Ultimately, whatever mom says goes. And if it's not your baby, respectfully shut the fuck up. Okay? You should not be arguing with any mom about her child, but we know life is not that simple. So here's what I would say to auntie. And this is gonna be hard. Even when I wrote this out, I was thinking of some of my aunties and I was like, Lord of mercy. But look, this is what you're gonna say. Hey auntie, we have to hold off on kissing the baby while she's super new. The doctor recommended we wait until she's a few months old, but for now you can give her all the cuddles you want. Cute, okay? Keep it lighthearted, keep it fun, but also be like, don't kiss my baby. So respectfully, like, you can communicate your boundaries. And I know that it's hard, especially around family, but it is what it is. Thing is, if they want to be around that baby and want to be around you, they have to respect those boundaries. The next important step here is to actually enforce your boundary. Words are just that, words. I think in the case with family, they will more than likely try you more than people at work will. So it's important that you have an action or consequence to that boundary being broken. And that doesn't mean cussing someone out. In fact, your job is to stay cool, calm, and collected and not go crazy and match anyone's chaotic energy, because you don't need to do that. You've already communicated what you need. Now, what is your next step? And here's the part where Bestie B can't really help you out, because you have to decide what that response looks like. If I were in the situation with the baby and I saw auntie break the boundary, again, I would stay very calm, go grab my baby and say, I'm sorry, we can't kiss on the baby right now. And I would just go about, like I already said what I needed to say. I don't need to explain to you anymore. I'm taking my baby back. And you can bitch and complain all you want. And yes, that might be uncomfortable for you to hear, but you set a very healthy boundary. And what's worse, if you think about it, is that your boundary was blatantly disrespected. So that's not your problem. Your response to a boundary being broken can sometimes range on a spectrum from more intense to less. And when I say more intense, that doesn't mean necessarily like blowing up on someone. Sometimes that can mean just really enforcing that in an uncomfortable way, like snatching your baby back. back. But however, in the workplace, if someone comes up to you again and tries to give you a task that's not yours, obviously that does not warrant a crazy response. Maybe just redirect them kindly again. I know it's annoying, but be patient and just tell them, this is not my job. I will point you in the direction. You know what I'm saying? But with the baby, there are more severe consequences to not following that boundary. So it's so important that you stay very stern and consistent with that boundary. And it doesn't matter who gets upset by that, because you set a boundary, you hold to it. Full stop. So you have to understand, boundaries are gonna be hard to set. That's just understood. But remember that a healthy boundary will benefit all parties. Even in the work case, okay? Having a boundary at work is so important to you being a good employee. It affects your team, your leadership, your productivity. It affects so many things if you set boundaries in terms of like how much work you're taking on that's not yours. And another reminder, if you were met with disrespect after setting a boundary, that tells you a lot about that person. Adjust accordingly after you get clarity on how that person treats you. And the unfortunate truth is that people will switch up after you put a boundary in place. But don't let that bring you down too much. Just be thankful that you have a better understanding of how this person views you. Boundaries are an essential piece to your evolvement. You can't get better if you're constantly draining your energy from pouring into places that aren't pouring back into you, or if you're overwhelming yourself constantly because you don't enforce boundaries. Part of having self-respect and part of self-care in general is making sure that you have healthy boundaries in place so that you can sustain yourself, so that you can show up and be the best mom, be the best friend, be the best wife, husband, whatever. Those boundaries make you better for yourself and for everyone around you. So if someone doesn't understand that, that's not your problem. That is their problem. And ultimately, I just need you to understand that setting a healthy boundary does not make you a bad person, regardless of how someone may make you feel because they don't like what you said. That's not your problem. In fact, I would say that if people could look at it from a better lens, you're actually a very mature, loving, kind person for setting and enforcing boundaries. Because to me, it shows that you want to keep those things in your life or those people in your life. So I hope this is a great reminder for you guys to just get your mindset ready. Start working on your boundaries now. You can start small. You don't have to dive deep into enforcing boundaries. And definitely don't go crazy like off the jump. Just start slowly implementing things that you would like to change and stay consistent with them. Boundaries don't work if you're not consistent. I hope this helped. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment on what boundaries you're setting in 2024, and I'll see you next week.